Hi, I'm Caleb Feline, and I have a message for the world, or the 8 to 10 people who bother watching my channel anyway. As anyone who has ever met me will attest, I am a particularly sarcastic individual. I enjoy making fun of events around me, and overall I can just be an intolerable, inconsiderate douchebag. Well, I'm going to try to not do that in this video. So what I am going to do is start by basically being an intolerable, insufferable douchebag and say to all the other intolerable, insufferable douchebags of the world, stop it! Now, I understand that this is hypocritical, but we live in a day and age now where we refer to each other as Trumptards and Libtards. We can't do that. It is useless, it is ineffective, it's not exactly insulting. I do firmly believe that both sides have now gotten to the point where we don't care what the other one says, and that is my point. Because the other side is a libtard, or a Trumptard, or whatever other insult we can come up with, just because they are that thing, we have created in our minds a way of putting them aside. They are now an abstract concept instead of another human being. It doesn't matter what a Trumptard says or a Libtard says, because they're just a Trumptard, rather than another human being. I woke up today to the news that Demi Lovato had been hospitalised due to what was originally reported as a heroin overdose. Now, they are saying now that that is not the case. The reports are saying that it's something different. I don't know the validity of these reports, and it's really not the point of this video. What is the point is that I got into an argument on Facebook about whether or not we should feel sorry for her. Now, I am a firm believer that just because you're rich does not mean you do not have problems. You just have different problems. Demi Lovato has had an extremely difficult life, to say the least, from what we know about it. But somehow, me having this opinion meant that I was a libtard. That having the opinion that another person's suffering mattered was this liberal, retarded idea. It's not. It is the idea of human decency. When we can no longer feel sorry for another person based on how rich they are, or their political leaning, whether they are the right or the left, that is the moment when we are no longer a society. We are no longer civil. We are just a pack of animals chasing each other around because we're not quite the same species. But we are. We are all the human race. I should mention, because I have begun to ramble a little bit, that I don't have notes on me. I had notes, I forgot to bring them, so if I go rambling off topic, I apologise. Also, that is a nice little interlude from the seriousness of this video, which I did feel like it was becoming a little bit too much. Back to seriousness. I don't appreciate being called a libtard. I don't consider it an insult, as I mentioned before. I've been able to tune it out. But it does mean that I can't engage in a civil discourse with another person who has a different opinion to me, because they can just brush my opinion aside because I'm a libtard or a Trumptard, or whatever other stupid insult people can have for you these days. Demi Lovato's hospitalisation is a way for the world to start talking about substance abuse or mental illness because it's a celebrity. And while I do disagree with the idea that celebrities get more attention drawn to them because they're celebrities, they do. It's unfortunate, but they do. I agree that we should pay attention to anyone who goes through these problems. But as a society, we don't do that. We pay attention when it's someone famous, someone who we've seen on stage or on the movie screen or at a comedy show. So, this is a chance for us to all talk about the way that mental illness affects people, or the way that substance abuse affects people. It's a major thing in America right now is the opioid crisis. Now, we can't do that so long as we disregard another person's opinion based on their political orientation or political leaning. I don't think I've got that phrasing quite right. It's a sad world now that we live in. We are no longer a civil society. We are, as I said before, a pack of rabid animals chasing each other around. We shouldn't be. I don't feel as though we pay enough attention to another person's opinion anymore. And that's what democracy is all about. We live in the Western world, where everything is about respecting the other person's right to their opinion. But we don't. We don't do that anymore. And until we do, how are we ever meant to resolve the issues of the world if we cannot discuss the issues of the world? I'm using Demi as an example of this because not only is she famous worldwide, or at least in the Western society, but she is an example of someone who has gone through massive trouble and strife in their life. And I won't get into it because I don't know all of it. I don't know what led her to this latest relapse. But Demi Lovato has been a role model for the last 6 years. She has been an example of someone who managed to turn their life around after going through hell. Much like Craig Ferguson or Robert Downey Jr. And we hail Robert Downey Jr. as a modern day hero because he went through this phase of his life where he became down, he became an addict, and he recovered, he became Iron Man, and he is now known worldwide as Tony Stark. And I want to know, if he relapsed, would we be treating him the same way we do Demi? I sincerely hope we wouldn't. But we can't tell anymore, because we don't know what the other side is going to do, because we don't pay any attention to them, because they're wrong. Frankly, that's how we put it these days. They're wrong because they don't have the same opinion as us, and that's not how the world works. I apologise again for rambling. This has gone on for a much longer video than I originally intended. I intended for this to be about 4 or 5 minutes. It's nearly 10 now. So I'll try and wrap up. We need to respect our fellow person. We need to be able to engage in a debate with them. Today, a young woman was hospitalised, and instead of showing our support or showing that we should, showing how much we care about our fellow individual, we started bickering and we started infighting about things that don't matter. It does not matter if I'm a libtard, okay? Because it's not a thing. It's a concept that we have created, that the other person is a libtard or a Trumptard because they don't have the same opinion as us, and that's not how it works. They are still human, and we have to respect that. I'm going to end by saying I send my well wishes to Demi, and to anyone else who has these mental health issues, or substance abuse issues, or alcoholism, or any other form of illness. I hope that she can now get the help that she needs to move past this phase of her life, get back to being who she is, instead of feeling like who she is not enough. Goodbye. I hope that this has taught you something, and I hope that my 8 or 10 followers will share this to the rest of the world so we can all stop just ignoring another person's opinion because it's different to ours. I'm Caleb Feline, and goodbye. I will see you soon.